OverDrive, off and running. TSN 1050 on the TSN app, your home smart speaker, and up on TSN 4. Bryan Hayes, the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, and look who we have back. Jason Strudwick. Jason Strudwick back in the house. How we doing, boys?
There he is, Masters guy. I gotta be honest, Hazy. I spent a majority of the time, because the Masters is so important to me, looking for you in the crowd. And I don't know why I was doing that. I was like, because every guy, would you not agree that, like, every guy, it's just the same guy everywhere you look. And I'm like, one of these guys is Hazy B, just because Struddy, there's vantage points where, like, if you were behind the tee on 16, you know you're getting on TV.
Sure.
Because it shows the golfers, and the people behind there are always on TV. I'm like, this guy knows this, and he's going to be somewhere. But you weren't anywhere.
I was around the tee. Believe me, I was trying to get on TV, and I was hoping that I would be on TV in some capacity, because I had that feeling that you would be looking and others would be checking it out. The thing is, everyone blends in down there. As you know, everyone's got a Masters hat and a golf shirt and a Masters cup.
Yeah. Khaki shorts with some kind of beige belt and some kind of salmon golf shirt, and it's like the same dude.
It's every guy is the exact same down there. So you may have seen me and just it blended in like one of those, like 2D or 3D paintings where you couldn't find the picture within the picture. And that was probably me, because I was hanging out a lot around the green, a lot around the
You were
box.
around the green guy.
I was around the green guy. But the thing is, at the Masters, as you know, you've been there, you do not step over the line. Like the Masters and Augusta Nationals, they've created this like ironclad set of rules that everyone abides by.
What about the thing where you can wheel in there whenever they open the gates, fire a chair somewhere, and that's your chair for the day?
It's amazing. You put your chair down. And you're right. People rush because you can't run, and you're terrified. Right. If you're on a fast, like a pacey walk, Struddy, you're waiting for someone in a green jacket to tap you on the shoulder and say, you have to leave, and you're banned for life. So everyone just kind of walks at a good pace. They get to the premium spots, put their chair down, and leave for 6 hours. Yeah. And no one goes close to it.
You mentioned the rules and how it's kind of one of those places where you got to mind your P's and Q's. I would bet, because I saw 2 or 3, you saw 2 to 5 gentlemen that were absolutely buckled and face planted on the grass somewhere because they just can't stop themselves.
You're right, but it's a smaller amount than like when we go to, if you go to the Waste Management or something, it looks like Woodstock, basically. You go to Waste Management, you go to bigger events. RBC Canadian Open's got a really cool, like fun party atmosphere where some people might push the limit. I did see a few people, and they stick out. Yes. More so than anybody else, because everyone else is trying to enjoy it and embrace it. Like, imagine going to Augusta, something you want to do your whole life, and you get there and you're
creamed and you forget about it.
And you're blackout by like 11 a.m. because they start serving booze, Struddy, at like 9 a.m. You can go in there and get beers, wine, you can get whatever you want. And there probably were a few people that got home today and said, I don't remember a thing.
Yeah. Who won? I don't know.
I've seen that at weddings. And golf courses. But I guess, hey, the greens looked a little bit dry to me. They came across on TV because they're a little brown.
Garbage.
Was that wrong, or what did it look like?
You know what? I didn't pick up on that, Struddy. It was very windy, and I don't know if that meant something in terms of like, for instance, if you guys saw Tiger putt out on Friday, he had to step off his ball multiple times. There was sand flying all over the property. Like it was like a desert out there, and a desert storm had hit. So I wonder if that was it, but I don't have an answer for you. I don't know, because it rained heavily on Thursday, so you would think, that was going to dampen things, and then it obviously was drying out. But it's a weird experience because you can't have a phone there. So you get in there and you're in a time machine back to the 40s where if you're not by a leaderboard or you're right there watching someone hit shots, you have no idea what's happening. They say the roars of Augusta. It's true. Roars would happen, and you're like, I don't know if that guy just hit a hole-in-one. Did he chip in? Did he make a big par save? and I don't even know who it was.
Did you not think the Augusta roar was one of the coolest things?
The coolest.
Yeah,
the coolest.
And I don't know if you got to experience one, but I heard a few. The Tiger ones are different than anything else. It doesn't matter if it's Scheffler. Like a Tiger roar at Augusta sends chills down your spine. You're like, that is so cool to hear that, man. Well, and you don't even have to look. You know who it is.
That's exactly what happened. I witnessed a couple live. He got up and down on 9 right when I got there on Friday, and the place erupted. And I was there on 18 when he got up and down on Friday. Place went nuts. And then over the weekend when he had made the cut, I kind of had a feeling of where he was. Like, okay, he's going around the corner. He's going down through 3, 4, 5. I'm going to miss him. And you would hear a roar, and you're like, that's him. It has to be. Because it's not, Neil Shipley or something that's creating that type of a reaction.
What was the exchange when the reporter asked this cat if Tiger handed him a piece of paper, and then he went cross-eyed, confused? Dude, what was that?
I don't know. Let's play it, though. Okay, so if you missed it, this was the low amateur. He's an Australian kid, I believe. He's got a Harry Higgs vibe, which I kind of appreciate. Hits the ball a mile, just cruises around in khaki pants. And a reporter allegedly witnessed Tiger hand him something and have a minor conversation with him. And then the reporter tried to gauge exactly what happened there. And this is what happened yesterday afternoon in terms of his reaction.
I saw on a fairway, he wrote something and handed you a note. What was that about? Did you?
No, he didn't.
Oh, I thought he wrote something and handed you a piece of paper.
No, that didn't happen.
Okay.
What the hell is that?
There was some weird post-round reactions between that sounded so guilty for some reason, or he was terrified that Tiger said, hey, meet me at Perkins later, but don't tell anybody, which is possible. Because Tiger, if he was abstaining leading into the Masters, he left there Sunday night, and who knows what the big cat was up to.
I actually felt, we'll get to Scottie in a second, but I actually felt bad for Tiger.
Yeah.
It's like to watch that and to see him out on that golf course playing that way, and no other golfer had a drop of sweat on them, and he was sweating profusely. And for anybody that doesn't understand or has had surgery and takes some meds that makes you sweat profusely, there's got to be something to it where his golf shirt is completely drenched and the other guy's looking for a pullover. It's bizarre.
Okay, so I have examples now that I was up close and personal, because following him was something I had to do. I'm like, I got to see Tiger play the Masters so I can say that, hopefully the rest of my life. When he made the cut on Friday, it was elation, right? Everyone's like, okay, he's here, he's playing the weekend. That changes everything, as you know. Like both you guys know, the difference between 36 holes for Tiger and 72 is so significant. Yeah. And he's 1 under. He played great on Friday when the conditions were incredibly tough. So there was some buzz, like this guy's in it. Like he shoots 67 tomorrow. He's got a chance on Sunday.
Yes.
By Saturday, 4th or 5th hole, you could realize, okay, he's leaking oil. I was on 15 tee. We were surrounding 15. I was there with a couple of friends, and we're like, all right, Tiger's coming through. He's on 13. Let's wait here until he gets up here. 15 tee, he walks up. He looks exhausted. You said it. He's sweating profusely. He sat down on the bench, took his hat off, and started drinking water. And all I could think of to myself, and it's totally unfair to a 48-year-old Tiger Woods who's been through all these trials and tribulations and injuries and surgeries, but a 25-year-old Tiger would look at that guy and be like, what are you doing?
Yeah. I'm gonna squash you on this course because you're sitting down drinking water.
Right.
And I'm a machine. I don't need water for this 18 holes.
Exactly.
I'm not kidding. It would not shock me if he holds a presser and says that's curtains for me playing golf, because I'm not going to go through that and whatever I have to do to get ready, and Sir sweats a lot, and it's
tough, man. It's really tough.
It's tough. It's tough to watch. And kudos to Scottie Hayes.
Yeah, Scheffler's
well
a
played.
machine.
But I just wish for on the coming down the stretch on the back nine, could he not have tipped his cap once in a while and said, hey, the crowd was going nuts over there. They're trying to build him up into something, which he is. And he didn't even give a tip of the cap any time. I'm like, dude, it's like a pitcher that walks off the mound and it's like the crowd's going nuts. They don't even acknowledge. It's just like, yeah, that's for me. It's like, come on, dude.
It's too much. So let's just quickly on Tiger. No one wants to see Superman bend the knee. Right, that's what he was. And you look at like when Michael Jordan was playing, maybe a little bit too late. Even like Brett Favre, guys like that, great athletes that not maybe stay too long, but just run out of juice, and they can't be who we've seen them be, which is Superman. It's really hard. But I agree with you with Scheffler. Like he played really good golf, but there wasn't really any excitement. I remember I was watching with some friends and my family. I'm just like, this is just kind of like he's just going to win it. Yeah. And he's going to walk off. And I don't think he had a heartbeat. I don't think his heart beat the last 3 or 4 holes. He
did when he was walking off the green with his caddy, and he did a fist pump and hugged his caddy again. But it was like,
where are we going for supper?
But that's how he wins.
Feel like
though.
Sub? What do you want?
Well, exactly. And he got out of there. I guess he flew into Dallas and went to some dive bar. There's some great pictures circulating. We'll try to get them and post them because he's got his green jacket in some place that it looks like the underground from back in the day on King. Like it's just, it's there's like graffiti all over the walls, and I guess he just got after it in Dallas.
So I had a pretty big argument with my family last night.
Look at that picture in Dallas.
Geez. Like, that's a fun place.
That looks incredible.
Where was that guy after he won it?
Exactly.
Where was that? The guy I want to see celebrate. But I'll ask you guys this. Let's say I know his wife was a couple weeks away from expecting her baby, and first child's exciting, all that. But if you got the call and you were, let's say the 15th hole or whatever it was, 9th hole, doesn't matter, anywhere on it, he said he was going to leave. Would you guys have left the course or finished and tried to win?
Dude, he wasn't going to leave on 15.
No.
I'm sorry. He wasn't going to leave on 4. If it was walking up to the first tee, he might say, check, please, I got to go have a kid. But other than that, I think as soon as his ball went in the air on 1, he was finishing the round. I
totally agree. When he put the peg in the ground on 1 and hit a drive, he wasn't checking his phone. He wasn't, no one was even with him. My understanding is his whole family and everyone were back in Texas anyway. He was playing. He was going to finish the round. He did it. Obviously, it worked out great for him. I mean, the guy's got really great perspective on life. He's 27 years old. He looks and acts like he's 47. But he's just a machine. And I think what you said is accurate in terms of crowd interaction and showing some life and personality. But I think he doesn't do that because he realizes that's what I have to do to win. And that's why he's roping everybody. Like he is lapping the field. And you saw, I was standing there on 11. It was an incredible view as Homa and Auberg came through, and then Scheffler and Morikawa were watching them. And Ludwig puts his in the water, tournament over. Homa hits his tee shot on 12, tournament over. Morikawa puts his ball in the water on 11, tournament over. And Scheffler goes, all right, bogey, I'm not touching the water on 11, par on 12, birdie on 13, give me the green jacket. And he just never blinked. He just kept going and going and going, and there's no reason to believe he'll stop. So, it was just an incredible accomplishment. It's what everyone thought was coming, which is Tiger-esque, right? Everyone said Scheffler's going to win, and he won. And, it's just an unbelievable run the guy's on right now.
I took him against the field. Yeah. I was like, there's just no way this guy's losing. And you were like, I'll take the field all day.
Yeah.
Up the field, who are you most disappointed by? Who's the guy you wanted to see or thought would make a run this weekend?
I wanted to see, once Homa was in it, I like Max Homa. I wanted to see him take a run at a major because he doesn't have one. It was interesting with Morikawa. I was speaking with, a couple of people down there that he was if he got a green jacket yesterday, he's one off a Grand Slam. Like that, if he won yesterday, he's a Hall of Famer. It's like you're immediately in. You got a PGA, you got an Open Championship.
He might be with just those two.
He might anyway, but if he snuck in a green one yesterday, it's like we've been talking for a decade about Spieth going for 4 and McIlroy going for the 4th one. Morikawa would have joined him yesterday, so that would have been a really cool story. Brad Faxon will join us in 15 minutes. Fax wanted or suggested it would be in the best interest of golf for a live golfer to win. We'll get him to expand on that. But yeah, we've got a lot to get into today. Struddy's with us. We got CJ coming up, Chris Johnston, who I guess is in Arizona because this Arizona to Salt Lake City thing is supposed to wrap up at some point this week. Everyone knows where it's going. They want it to come to an end before the playoffs start. I think that's a smart play. Right, you don't want a distraction hanging over you. And, speaking of distraction, I guess the big story in Toronto, even though I wasn't in town on the weekend, was Matthews scoring 69, which is incredible, not getting to 70. And now it hangs over, I guess, as they go down to Florida, and they get the Panthers tomorrow and Tampa on Wednesday.
Yeah, Hayes, you mentioned hanging over. I don't know why people are turning this into something. Isn't this just like a great chase and
I agree
celebration?
With you. Thank
where
you.
It's like, I don't know. They're like, oh, this guy shouldn't play, should rest for the playoff.
I hate that.
Dude, 70 is such a significant benchmark. Like, why not just go out and do it? And hopefully you can do it in the first period or early in the game or something and skate off the ice and take your gear off and say, I'll be back here Saturday night.
Exactly.
Like, why is it such a...
I agree.
Like, what is this hanging over? It's like this burden on some people. It's like, what are we doing here? This is an unbelievable feat.
By Auston Matthews scoring, he helps the team win. That's what he does. He scores. And I don't think he's been taking, I watched them at game Saturday. I didn't think he was taking crazy chances to try to get it going. But his teammates want to see him do it. And I would give anyone full marks if they're the guy that walks in there and says, you know what, Austin, you're at 69. We're not going to play. We're going to rest you the rest of the time. What do you think that player's going to say? And how do you think that affects your relationship with your coach? Like, he's playing. I would not sit that guy down at all. Let him get to 70. Same with McDavid getting to 100 assists. Like, you're one away. They've done so much for you this year. They deserve this opportunity to do this.
Yeah, I think there's a lot that I would like to get to here on this topic. First and foremost, Leaf fans have had it rough for a long time. Can we not spoil something amazing? Like, give us 70. Give us a pursuit of 70 that's just pure and fun and entertainment. There's a part of me that blames the team and their demons in the playoffs and their history, because if they had won a cup at some point in the last, decade or so, or went on multiple runs, we wouldn't even be at the playoff chatter. The reason the playoffs are always on the top of mind is because of their history. That's what is the distraction. And Keefe knows that. I think Keefe is speaking about his own team cheating and not necessarily being in the right frame of mind, which I can understand that, and that's his priority. He needs to make sure his team is ready. But him getting to 70 would be incredible. Like, it would be an incredible completion of maybe the greatest individual season in franchise history. Why try to soil that? Why try to take something? Why allow yourself to get somewhere where you think, well, he shouldn't be playing because what of? And there's no reason to believe that because he plays in Florida tomorrow, if he does, and I think he should, or plays in Wednesday in Tampa, that means they can't or won't win in the playoffs. Or vice versa. If he doesn't play tomorrow or against Tampa, that doesn't guarantee anything in the playoffs, right? These guys get paid to play games. That's what they get paid to do. He's a machine. He's in his 20s. To our knowledge, there's nothing lingering. It'd be different if this guy was playing at 70%, right? If he had a knee injury or a shoulder, it would be like, all right, shut him down so he feels great for the playoffs. He does feel great. He's playing the best hockey of his career. I think let that keep going. And I definitely wouldn't take him out tomorrow night. I'm not sending a message to Florida that I'm scared they might do something. I'm going in there with the best team I have, and I'm smacking them in the face. And I'm saying, we'll see you Saturday night. You can take your foot off the gas. Take Tkachuk out if you want. Have Barkov sit. Do whatever you want. But we're coming in, and this is game 0.5 for us of the playoffs.
Oh,
that would be my mentality tomorrow night.
I like that 0.5. But the word you just mentioned there, I want to know who... Because I know it's not me because I don't tweet about this type of stuff, but you said the distraction and this burden. Who's creating that? Is it the media? Is it the fans? Like, what has gone on here?
I think, again, it's the team, and I understand it. They're so aware of their history. They're nervous about their history. They're nervous about what's coming in the playoffs. And I'm not talking to players who are sitting there nervous, but the big picture is playoff success. Right, and trying to have that success. And I guess my guess would be what Keefe was saying was it was distracting for his team was playing distracted. Maybe he saw them cheating. I don't know if you guys saw that, but I would guess that's what he was speaking about. Keefe should know, and I believe he does know. He can't control what the media and the fans are going to say or think or do. And if he's allowing their excitement for something to affect their playoff preparation, that's on him. Not on anybody else.
And as
Matthews
far as
played 24 minutes on Saturday night.
The playoff
it's a distraction. Don't play him.
The playoff preparation, I think, we all know at this point in the season, it's kind of like, you know who you're playing. It's like, check, please. Can we just get this over with? It's almost mimicking like exhibition season where it's like, I don't want to get hurt. I want to get some reps in. But, they do have to address some things. Penalty kill, power play, like, You can't have special teams like that heading into the playoffs because that's atrocious. But it's like, let's get this over with and get to the playoffs. And hopefully they can flip the switch. And obviously you don't want to go out there and mail it in and play like a jackass because who knows? You just want championship habits, as Jack Armstrong always says. But I don't know. You got to think that these guys are like, we're playing Florida. most likely, let's get this over with and get to it. Let's get Matthews 70 and let's get on with it.
Yeah, I would guess so, yeah.
The teammates want you to get it. I was 2 times I played the guys who got 50 goals. We wanted them to get to 50. Like, it's exciting to see someone. You feel a little bit of it's a nice little boost for your team. So I think they want them to get 70.
Well, I also think there is an upside to any sort of distraction that comes with 70. It's a massive shield over everything else, because no one's talking about Ilya Samsonov being in a bad place the last 2 games, right? Like, there's no conversation about him. It's just 70 goals, 70 goals, 70 goals. If I'm Sheldon Keefe, I'm using that to my benefit. I'm using that as a coaching shield. Don't ask me about the injuries, because they're piling up here with McMahon out, Domi's banged up. McCabe got away with one the other night. He's going to be fine. Edmondson looks like he's going to return. Yarncroke is probably close. You mentioned other areas, the penalty kill. But Ilya Samsonov's last 2 games, he's struggled. Like, they've not been good games, and there's no reason to panic. But
I'll give him one thing, Hazy. He did have a response. The second half of that Detroit game, he did play well. It was nonsense at the beginning of the game. There was a bunch of nonsense, but he did respond. I thought he was going to get pulled after the first period, but they kept him in there, and he played better.
Right, but the game Thursday against Jersey wasn't good.
No,
like, it was really not good. And again, what I'm saying is, I think the 70 is a distraction, a shield for everything, positive and negative. And Joseph Wall will play tomorrow night. But this is just an incredible run. And I think if you're lucky enough to be in the building on Saturday night, and I'm sure we all knew people that were, when he ripped home that 69th goal, that place was going nuts every time he touched the puck. And a couple years ago, when Judge was chasing 62, no one was saying, sit him, sit him, sit him. What about the ALDS? It was, of course, go for it. This is amazing. You can't control what's going to happen in the future. And obviously, you don't want anybody to get hurt. But you can't bubble wrap guys. Guys can get hurt in practice. They can get hurt in the gym. They can get hurt anywhere. It's just an incredible story, and it's been an incredible season. And, where you're at, Struddy, it looks like McDavid's back, and I guess, what is it? Is 100 assists a distraction? Like, is Chris Knobloch?
Yeah.
Is it? Okay.
Not as much talk. I don't think there's, I don't think there's been much talk about that. I think that, we saw the little, looked like he tweaked or re-aggravated something against, I think it was against the Flames a few games ago. So he missed, 3 or 4 games, handful of games. And I think it was playoffs he would have played. And now he's back. And now it looks like Evander Kane's going to take his turn sitting out just to kind of rest up. But I think I want to be clear about these injury things. Like, there's always a lot of talk about we don't want guys to get injured. There is always a chance of people get injured, but it doesn't mean it's going to happen. So I think it's a fine balance between walking of resting guys, but when you do that, I think you get out of your rhythm a little bit. I'd almost prefer for, you look at that race in the East there, the last, those last whatever point or team or two they're trying to get in, those are going to be real battles trying to get in there to try to make that. So I think there's meaningful games. You're excited, you're pumped up. So you hit game 1 of the playoffs, boom, I'm ready to go. There's always a risk when you kind of, not back your way in, but kind of take it easy down the stretch. And now that game 1 in the playoffs, you're playing someone who hasn't backed their way in. I think there's a little bit of risk there. So I think I'd really monitor that for all these teams that are, considering sitting players for, two games or more.
Yeah. Well, and the Islanders have a big one tonight. I guess Varlamov's going to get the start.
What?
Yeah, I thought I read that online that, he's been playing well, and, it's like what's going on in Pittsburgh. Nedeljkovic is playing over Jari, because it's like, who can get me hot and who can get in? Because we still do have some races here, including the Rangers trying to finish off strong against Ottawa, I believe it is tonight. Yeah, that's where Noodles is calling that game, where if New York wins tonight, they win the President's Trophy. So you've got that. You got the Islanders trying to punch a ticket. If the Islanders win tonight, they're in. So it's going to be a fun week. Like, I think the NHL should be pretty happy with where they're at, except for the Arizona distraction. Yet that might be a positive, too, because they're out of Arizona, so we can stop referencing them.
Not for long, though, bud. In
they'll
6 months, some guy's going to say, I'm going to buy a team and put it in Arizona, and everyone's going to be all horned up about it. And it's like, for what?
Yeah.
Let's be honest, though. Why are everyone feeling bad for the players of the Arizona Coyotes? The players are going to be fine. Most of them don't live there. So as far as where they weren't born there, they came there, they were drafted.
Come on, dude. If you're
I don't feel bad
25 and you got a condo townhouse on Greyhawk, come on,
I know,
man.
but listen, but they're never. Most of the guys aren't going to stay there. They're moving on. I feel bad for the people that have been toiling for years trying to get that team better. Multiple owners, even the NHL owned the team. Like I don't get that idea. Like I don't feel bad for the players at all. Even the coaches, they're imports, right? It's Lizzie who sells tickets. She's been selling tickets for 22 years trying to make that thing happen. Or Jim that parks the cars at the valet out at Glendale. Those are the guys I feel bad for. The guys, the Alberta guys, the rank and file, they call it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, there's a lot of business. You might own a restaurant or something across from that building. Like, what are we going to do here now that they're not playing? And whatever it might be. And there are people that have a connection to that team, and that
the
team's
14
gone.
people that came in on Saturdays for wings and beer aren't going to be going anymore.
Yeah, they won't.
But even like the minor hockey program, like you think about how long they've been trying to build that minor hockey program, and I think you guys are benefiting, you guys being Leafs fans, of Auston Matthews. So that's 30 years they've been trying to build that up, and it never really fit. Like maybe when I first came in the league and they were playing downtown, maybe that was the only time it fit, but I don't know what you thought, Dog, but I mean, Glendale I thought it was a cheap looking facility, a long ways away from anywhere. And then you move into this little, ant hut that you're trying to play games in. Like, it just was never right.
It's awful.
It's true, man. Like
Strud, I like the original rink. I like the NBA building where it was.
So did
That was 20 years ago, though.
Dude,
I liked it too.
Get it, but I'm like, the question is how did they move from that rink downtown that I thought was cool, basically because I scored in the rink every game? Doogie, try to pull up my stats in Arizona. They have to be pretty good. And then they built a brand new arena in the wrong place. How do you do that?
Well, and that's how you get to where you're at, but it's irrelevant now because they're gone. They're going to end up moving to Utah, and we'll see what happens, once they get there. What would be crazy is if they're going to the playoffs. Imagine they went on some miraculous cup run. Imagine Gary Bettman handing out the cup at Mullet Arena. You know how funny that would be?
He would wait for the presentation. He'd go to Utah on top of a mountain and just hold it.
But you know what's even worse for those few fans in Arizona? That team's getting better. They've got a lot of good young players. They got a lot of draft picks like Doan, Gunther.
We've been saying
Cooley.
That for a decade.
No, this one.
Good luck taking a peek in Salt Lake, because Noodles says the bars close at 9:00. They're going to love that. Guys,
that might be healthy for Noodles. Might be healthy for him.
Well, that's true. At this point, that's probably a good thing.
Never know.
You never know. All right, Overdrive continues, brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. CJ coming up, Chris Johnston on what happens with Matthews and the Leafs the rest of the way, among many other stories in the NHL. And Brad Faxon, our buddy from the Golf Channel, coming up. His take on Scheffler and the rest of the field. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app. All right, Chris Johnston coming up in about a half an hour. Brad Faxon will join us. He was down at Augusta covering it for the Golf Channel. Jeff tweeting in, asking, I have to know, did the phrase Hayes is a fraud make it to Augusta?
Did it?
Took about a half an hour on grounds.
Are you serious? A random person said that to you?
Yes, and then it turned out to not be that random. It was more of a, Hayes, you're not a fraud, which I'm like, oh, okay, I appreciate that. Which either way now, it's a break the ice either way. You can say you're a fraud or not a fraud. It's still the same thing. Go over and say hi. It turns out it was Corey Connor's brother-in-law, who's married to Corey's twin sister. Nicole, I believe, is her name. So I'm sitting there talking to them. I'm like, so what are you doing down here? They're like, well, we're just following Corey. Like, yeah, that would make sense. So shout out to them, the whole Connors family, big fans of the show. Wow. And
I thought there's no way down there. No
Yeah.
way down there that you would get one of those, and it only took half an hour.
Yeah, I was barely on the grounds,
Got
and
a
it
long
happened
reach.
quickly.
It's a long reach.
It's a lot of reach. it's something we're very proud of, Struddy. Fraudulent
What did you wear?
commentary.
Were you golf? Do you have to wear a golf shirt
guy.
there?
Yeah, golf
You
shirt
gotta
guy.
wear-
I had a Harry Higgs vibe going though. At one point, I didn't realize I had an unbutton. I have the worst burn on my chest. Like, it's horrible because it was hot, sunny,
sexy.
beautiful. Yeah, I was trying. All right, the Golf Channel was down there, of course, all week as well. Scottie Scheffler's won his second green jacket. To chat about it, we're joined by a man that played on the tour, played obviously at Augusta, Champions Tour, NBC, Golf Channel analyst, one of our good friends here on this show. Here's Brad Faxon. How you doing, Brad?
I'm doing good, really good.
Yes.
How about you guys?
We're doing great. Scheffler, what do you make of this guy at this point? You know, everyone's comparing him to Tiger, how well he's played, how dominant he is. How do you put this into perspective, what he's accomplishing right now?
It's actually incredible. I learned something pretty funny this week at the media center, and if you've been to Augusta National and seen that media center, it's as impressive as anything you've ever seen. And Ron Green, who writes for Global Golf Post, and he says they nicknamed Scottie Scheffler Mr. Inevitable because everything he does is spectacular. And it's funny. You think about this stretch that he's on with the win at Bay Hill at Arnold Palmer's tournament, the Players Championship, a narrow miss in Houston where he missed a 5-footer. He would have been in a playoff against Steven Yeager there, and then this 4-shot win. He's doing things Tiger-like. Those are the comparisons. He's done what Tiger used to do often for a long time. Now he's been doing this for 3 years, and to win his second Masters at the age of 27, it's an incredible accomplishment. But what's amazing to us, and Brandon Chambly said it so nicely on the live from set, he's doing the extraordinary things so ordinarily. And, normally you would think when you have a lead like that, you'd play the 13th hole and the 15th hole very conservatively, but he hit perfect drives. He went for both those greens. He hit it over the water, never even came close to hitting a shot in the water. And the two guys that both sank on the 11th hole, Colin Morikawa and then this rookie sensation, Ludwig Aubert, they both hit it in the water on 11 to douse their chances. And Scheffler just got up in 11, which is the hardest second shot and the hardest hole in the golf course. Hit it right on the right edge of the green and made bogey, but he avoided double bogey. He didn't do anything silly, and he had a cakewalk the last 3 holes.
Fax, how sustainable is this? We've seen guys in the past, whether it be DJ, whether it be Morikawa, Spieth. I mean, Rory's taken his turn kind of running the table at the top, but they seem to kind of fizzle out and kind of fade into the mix. Do you think this is different than that?
Every time I see him play, I keep getting more and more surprised and more in awe of how good he is. And if you think about this week at Augusta National, he drove the ball well, but he's not the longest hitter. He drove it very straight. He was top 10 in driving accuracy. His iron game, which is usually the best on tour, was fair. It wasn't his best of the week, and then he putted nicely. But he usually beats you up pretty badly from just tee to green, so solid, no mistakes. But this week he was the best around the greens. His chip shots were extraordinary. He missed the green on 1, got up and down. He missed the green on 2, he got up and down. He almost drove the 3rd green, got that up and down out of a bunker. And he looked like it was no problem. So even when, and I think, we talk about everybody has 14 clubs in his bag, but he's got this 15th club between his ears that's so much stronger than everybody else. And it almost frustrates the spectator, the viewer, and certainly us, the media, because he doesn't even look like he's enjoying this. He walked around with his head down, with really no reaction to the crowds. And look, he's, his wife's not there. They're giving birth to a baby today or tomorrow. He was all business. And finally he let it out on the 18th green, but the emotion was few and far between. And I think that's the scariest part to everyone. You see this, what would make him slow down at this point? And you mentioned so many of the players that, he's playing against and just beating so handily. But we haven't seen this kind of domination for a long time.
And as we know, he's doing that for the PGA Tour and I guess representing the PGA Tour, although I don't recall him ever being too outward on that. Like, I don't recall him ever having the PGA shield on and speaking on behalf of the tour. It doesn't seem like he's one of those rah-rah guys. It doesn't mean he doesn't love the tour or isn't committed to the tour, because I've never heard his name rumored to live either, where everyone else has been rumored in some capacity. I've never heard that with Scheffler, with Brad Faxon. But
you know what?
Go ahead.
No, but I was just going to say, Scottie Scheffler is so away from the media side of things. He's not on Instagram. He's not on Twitter. He's not on the policy board or the Players Advisory Council. It wouldn't even be surprising if he's never heard of Live.
Right.
It's like all he wants to do is compete. I'm serious. It's like this guy is incredible with the way he lives his life. He was great family, great father and mother. Interesting, his father took care of them growing up. His mother was an executive. He grew up with a Christian background and strong faith. His caddy has strong faith. And I don't think he's a different person if he won or didn't win. He plays so freely. And what I mean by that is it's like he almost has a role to play, and it's to be a professional golfer or be a competitive golfer, and just to go out to play, and nothing changes whether he wins or loses. And, everybody's trying to play for money. Everybody's trying to play for titles and trophies, and he just wants to beat you up. But it's like he does it kindly,
Well, with that said, it is outstanding. You were chatting with Brad Faxon. You were saying over the weekend, Fax, that you thought it was in the best interest of golf in general for a live player, a live star. I believe you were speaking of Bryson, to win the Masters. Can you expand on what you meant by that and why you thought that was the case?
Well, I'm just thinking, this tour has been around for 3 years, and the PGA Tour is lost some of their biggest stars. Brooks Koepka, Cam Smith, Patrick Reed, Bubba Watson, DJ, Brooks. I've said it again, Bryson, Sergio. But these guys were all kind of like the villains, or the guys that created rivalries. Now, Tyrrell Hatton. He's gone. Guys that you kind of like to root against and have rivalries right now. Nobody's up there week to week against anybody. We don't have a Red Sox-Yankees sort of matchup right now, and it hurts. And I thought, Bryson was one of these guys 4 years ago. He was kind of brash. He's an innovator in a way. The way he thinks about the play of this game. He's got the clubs that are all the same length, the irons that are all the same length, they're the same lie angle. He's got this putter that nobody's ever seen, as upright as it is. It's on the edge of being illegal. He tried the metamorphosis with his body to hit it farther than anybody, and it worked. He won the U.S. Open at Winged Foot, but you still didn't like him. And then something's changed the last year. You have to make that allowance, and he came up with 3D printed irons. I mean, that they weren't conforming on Monday with the grooves, and we're like, who thinks like this? And it's like these guys, they're sent to like the penitentiary. I think I said something like that when they go to live. Nobody hears them from them, and we lose John Rahm, but nobody cares, right? It's like John Rahm's gone, and nobody's talking about him. He was the number 2 or 3 player in the world. And it's almost like they go to the witness protection program, and then they get out and go on probation 4 times a year so they can play in the majors.
Yeah.
I just thought if Bryson won, maybe that sparks the conversation a little bit better with Yasser, the chairman of the tour. I mean, with the Live Tour, and that would really get them saying we need to be together, because the end game is both tours want the best players to play together more often. I just think what's the worst part about this is the Live golfers now that somehow think they're worth that kind of money. That's the worst thing. I mean,
crazy. Our
ratings are down from last year, and a guy like Patrick Cantley, who's on the PGA Tour's policy board, and a very smart guy, he thinks he's worth $120 million. These guys need to go pound sand.
Yeah, no kidding.
Obviously, Rory McIlroy has been a good golfer for a long time, but he seems like he just doesn't quite have that same, finishing that he's had in the past. Where do you see his game as it relates to winning another major, or specifically the Masters?
I've been lucky enough to spend a lot of time with Rory the last 6 years. I've been on his team there in the putting side of things, and if you look at his year, he's won a tournament in Dubai early in this year, in 2024. He just finished 3rd the week before, which I thought was, kind of went unnoticed. And it might be good coming into the Masters that he's, under the radar. If Rory McIlroy could ever be under the radar, that might be good as well. And I think that the hardest thing for Rory is everybody in the world, including himself, wants him to win the career Grand Slam at Augusta National. And the last major of the year now is the British Open in July, and there's this 8-month interminable wait for him every year just to see if he can, win this major to do that. And what I really hope, because he's playing fine, and his fine is good enough to beat everybody but Scheffler. If he can win a different major this year, it doesn't have to be the Masters. I think that takes a lot more pressure off of him when he actually goes back to the Masters a year from now.
Fax, where do you think Tiger goes from here? I got to be honest with you, it was a tough watch for me. Watching him sweating profusely, and I don't know what that's all about, but just him trying to get around that golf course as a showman almost for 4 rounds. It wouldn't shock me if he just says, that's curtains for me, I'm not playing anymore.
If he said that wouldn't have surprised me until I heard his commentary after he got off the course yesterday. And he fully was intending, or sounded like he was intending, to play the next 3 majors. I mean, I don't think there's a human on earth, whether it was Tiger or Jack, that can take this amount of time away from the game and be competitive. Never mind,
I know,
when every step he takes, he winces. His son Charlie lives in this neighborhood where I live in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. This Old Palm Golf Club. It's a beautiful place. Lots of people from Toronto here, by the way.
Yes.
And I watch him come out, and he always looks like he's sweating, and I'm sure that he's got to be taking something for the pain meds. That he must feel like he, just every night it just must be so hard to just get out of bed. And people were interested this weekend. I mean, Thursday and Friday particularly, to watch him, to see how he'd get around, to see how he'd do. And to think that he could make a cut, not having played 7 rounds of golf in 5 months, it's a Tiger-esque achievement to break that record of consecutive cuts. It's outstanding.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. So it's 24 straight made cuts. He's played 100 professional rounds now at Augusta. That may be a perfect way to end it. You hit 100, you made 24 cuts. I don't want to see that happen. Obviously, we'd all love to see him play, but
I don't want to see him play like that either, where it's just like, hey, in fact, we talk about it. He says on Tuesday, I think I can win. And then he says on Friday or Sunday, if he makes the cut, well, I don't play anymore, so I'm not sure what you guys are expecting. It can't be both.
Well, I was almost hoping that at the start of the week, when he went into the press room, that he would kind of say, you know what, this is more celebratory for me, and he says, I've got it in me to win. I'm like, I don't think he needs to be macho to be loved.
I know.
We're just going to be, right? We're going to be so impressed with him anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, he's had this, nobody's ever going to get inside of me mentally. But he's opened up a little bit, and it makes you feel like, and Jack was that way when he was younger on the tour. He wanted to be invincible, and Tiger now, he's been a mentor to so many of these players like Rory and Justin Thomas. I think if he stays that way, it's fine. We don't need to see this invincible Tiger Woods as he's galloping towards his 50s here.
Well, yeah, that's on him, I guess, to figure out moving forward. But as you said, he said pretty quickly after yesterday, he'll be there at Valhalla. He'll be at the U.S. Open. He's going to Troon. He mentioned that, the Open Championship. So we'll see how it plays out. Great stuff down there, Fax. We always appreciate you doing this. I know it's been a pretty crazy week and a half. Thank you for this.
Yeah, good talking to you as always, you guys. Our golf channel set was right next to TSN, right left of the driving range. So I saw a few of the boys that were calling the golf on your end.
It's awesome.
We need to get these Canadians ramped up for the President's Cup. I'll be up there at Royal Montreal. Covering that for NBC.
Amazing.
Yep.
Amazing. Hopefully we see you there too. Thank you, Fax.
Nice talking to you guys.
There he is, Brad Faxon. Yeah, the setup TSN's got down there is incredible. I got down. I saw you there, You were there. Your cutout was down there. It's been down there for a couple of years.
I don't know why that cutout goes down there.
It lives down there. As far as I know, it made its way down, and it lives at Augusta National now, and it's a great pick. It's a great look. I don't know if Joe from the Bridge has that pick. He can throw it up. I made sure to pop in. There it is. There's Lawrence Applebaum of Golf Canada. You look. It's not a great cutout, I'll be honest. And you're losing weight. You look amazing now.
I know, that's like a Beefmaster pick where I'm like...
There's a lot of pimento cheese in that.
It is. That is stuffing your face with pimento cheese for 4 hours straight.
Yeah.
Let's light that one on fire. Let's get a new one for next year.
Updated.
Yeah, that one. It's just not a great one. It's not a great one, but it's flattering. They got you down there. It was good to see you down there. Good to see the boys. Saw JD and Bob and Dillette and everyone doing an amazing job. So shout out to the whole crew. And yeah, it was. Anyway, more on that throughout the afternoon. CJ coming up on the Leafs. Matthews' pursuit of 70. McDavid's back. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. So the Yankees are in town. Jackie Robinson Day throughout baseball. And first time the Yankees are in town playing the Jays. The Yankees are obviously off to a great start. They're 12-4. Jays are up to 500. They took 2 of 3 against just an awful Rockies team.
Man, that Rockies team's something else.
Stink. They're so bad.
People were losing it when they took game 1.
I know. I was rocking it. They got 12-4 or something. They got crushed. And then they got off to that great start on Saturday, and the bats fell asleep, and it got a little bit dicey. But John Sterling has been calling Yankee games forever. I guess he's called 5,000 games, and the Yankees have announced, like they just announced this in the last hour, that he's retiring effective immediately, I think. I don't even think he's up here calling the games this week. Yeah, I think he just hit 5,000 games and said, I'm out of here, which is wild. Or they
told him to leave, or it's a weird timing.
You just got started, though. They're 16 games into the season.
Jeez.
And because Sterling's got the famous call, like the Yankees win, like he does all that stuff. And
so who was replacing him? Michael
I don't know.
Kay?
I haven't seen it. Well, Kay's doing TV. Kay's not going to go on and do that gig. Like, Sterling's been calling on the radio for 35 years. But
35 years.
35 years calling the Yankees. He's seen it all. So more on that later this afternoon. Ryan Dempster will join us. Jays Yankees will tee up the series with him. Chris Johnston coming up as well. Jason Strudwick's in here with us with the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, and Bryan Hayes. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4.